The soothing sound of a tank of water. It's a new thing. New thing. I used to get grossed out with Prince's dogs though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was too like dogs inside. I was like,
I
yes.
was gonna ask you something about this too. Cause like even the different, cause you was on this podcast recently, the NYP. I've been watching their joints too. They dope. They talk.
Yeah, that's the God's Eye Supreme.
Yeah. But I noticed in a lot of interviews, a lot of everybody speak on first on Prince. So it's like, what's the?
Because he was here. He was here.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. So someone did say he mostly lived there.
He really did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was official. Like he was really a great teacher. So.
Right.
But he didn't teach everybody. So.
But it gets to the point where it's like, yeah, some people that say they was on the firstborn prince, I could tell how they say the degrees or how they do. It wasn't. They don't really know firstborn. So it's like, damn, like he's so much of a character that you know what I mean. Like people gotta.
Nah, I said some people
that they know him or did it.
Yeah, no, he really is. Yeah, yeah.
It's like, all right.
No, he is. So yeah. No, when you say it like that, yeah, it's true though. You know, but I'm official though. Right, I ain't have to do that. Right. You know, but I spent time with him. I would say I was with Knowledge Me, but a lot of times I'd be with Knowledge Me, and then he would pull me over too. You know, even when I started the class, he would tell me certain things and then just leave me alone. He never was like, you know.
He was never one of the ones that really pissed him off.
No. Yeah. I didn't see it then because he was so stern and everything. Mm-hmm. But other gods like, Kahim and everything, like he was, he tells me all the time that Prince loved me, But he was so stern, I didn't see it that way, Right. There's so many other gods that showed like love in its much more overt ways.
Yeah, everybody.
You know what I mean? So I didn't know like that. I thought he just had respect, and I didn't need you to love me. So right, be a respectful student. But yeah, he's people always want, and people, that doesn't also mean that when he was alive, people would be kind of disrespectful too, try to challenge him, all that kind of stuff. So him being like grumpy or whatever you want to call it, I think he had to be on the defensive too. Also, those last years of his life, he, living here inside the school, he was dealing. It was just too many characters, though. This is like a public building. Just imagine like you're living in a public building. Everybody comes in and stuff. It's never really your home, or people are butting into your home. Like and then they'll assume certain things about your life because you looked into his daily, like, private life. Like, no, what he's doing there's none of your business. Like, and it could be anything. It could be anything. Like, oh, why does he watch that program? Like, like little things. Like, So I think that was also. I think it led him to be a little bitter and stuff, and honestly, rightfully so. Rightfully so. But yeah, I'm gonna be here until 8:00. I've been here longer. I here like 6:30. So, but during this, the rest of the year, I'll be here until 8:00. So around hour and a half. You know what I mean? And I said I would go through certain things. This is just a weird week, like obviously in the music, I have to spend a lot of time eulogizing MCs and stuff. You know what I mean? It's really tiring. It's really tiring, and that's been for years. Like, it's crazy how I thought about it, and I was like, years ago, this is like 2010 or something like that. And I was like, yo, I don't like rest in peace. I don't like it. I don't know. The mind is infinite though, but you're telling them that that mind is resting. That's all it's doing. My old Earth, I know that she's not nowhere just resting. That wasn't a character. The mind is always active. So I was like, yo, what is our perspective? Well, the greatness of them. So I said, remembered in perfection. And then, yo, just so much of the last, I don't know, let's say 14 years, man, I've had to eulogize so many artists. And obviously ones that I know is horrible. It's horrible, you know? A lot of these good MCs that I write about that are really dope, like some of them I knew when they wasn't known at all. Like when I heard Napoleon the Legend, that's a good example. When I heard Napoleon the Legend, I said, yo, Napoleon, we'll go to your house. He was in Brooklyn at the time. And I took my whole family. I got my daughter taking pictures of me with him. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would take the whole family because I'm a journalist by myself now. Now it's all me, alone. I don't have no magazine, nothing. It's my own stuff, But yeah, the God Scientific and then El Nakar, like, I never got to build with El Nakar like that. He was always trying to build with me, and I was like, yo, God, I'm here. Like, just come through. Like, but never got to build. I was seeing
older than you around the same.
Not as older. These guys were older. Scientific, he was older, but there were a lot of years he would always be hanging out here, like be at the school, and there were a lot of Thursdays. There was like maybe about 2-3 years where like every Thursday we kick it in the classroom, and he would have good counter questions to the students, like adding on to the classroom structure, and it's just a great guy, looking out for you. You know what I mean? Just look out, see if you're okay, ask you if you need something. You know what I mean? Always building. Good gateway. He was a gateway to a lot of the younger gods that slowly start being misunderstood by all the elders. He still understood the vibe. Yeah, like he was peace god, mainstay. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I don't think that ever happened in my life though. Like 3 people that I know just returned in one week. Because Ka was Saturday. Technically, we just found out on Monday. Yeah, they shared it on Monday, and I didn't know until Monday. And then yesterday was Scientific, and then today that was on the car. Yeah, so. But in the car, he was really in the community. You know what I mean? Like, he would do a lot of events. Spell everything wrong, like I was saying before I got on. He always wrote like freedom language, just like a freedom language. Like, we're gonna write it the way we want, our own grammar and shit. But good brothers. You know what I mean? Good brothers. Regularly at the parliament, so I will tell you that. Regularly building. Yeah. So if anybody's here, ask questions. I want to go through something here. I don't think I ever shared this with you. I had written a plus lesson about understanding. And I said that we're always talking about knowledge, but knowledge is infinite, and yet it's already here at all times. So when we look at situations, we try to say, oh, look, I only do with knowledge. Like, we're not as robotic as that. We all got certain bias. But when we have knowledge itself, we try to adjust these biases. What would be the bias, though? The lens. So instead of saying bias, what we're really talking about is the lens by which we look at things. And so I had this build that the lens by which we look at things has to be worked on. And it's worked on by things like the babies are the greatest. So now we know that that's a mantra of ours, really. So now when we look at things, we look at things in the vein like, is this right and exact for the children? You know what I mean? So now like you're a DJ and shit. Now that you got knowledge, you listen to music differently. You're like, this is good for children. And you have daughters, so like you're always thinking about that. But like what else is very when you get knowledge, right? It's even more overt because we're thinking about all of humanity. You know what I mean? So these are the type of things that I mean by lenses. It's always important to identify the type of lens of understanding that you have. People swear that they don't have any bias though. And so what happens when they develop an understanding based on an actual piece of knowledge, they forget that their own biases affect how they wisdom the knowledge, how they use it, and then what their insight is. You know, what I like to call a revelation of purpose. Yeah, I had written this plus lesson in 2011. It's pretty old. So everybody keep bothering me about these other ones that I gotta write, you know? I keep it real, God. It's different for me now. I write more now. I write more.
Right.
You know, like I'm trying to finish books by the end of the year. But now Mala just called me and he wants something, right? You know what I mean? So like, you know, like now I have to keep writing things. And then now at the job, I have to write curriculums for that too. I write curriculums. I have to write the curriculum for each grade. You know what I mean? So I end up writing more now, so it's a little slower. But I really do want to write that. I think it's useful. But yeah, I want to go through this. Until the end of the year, I just want to, with the shorter class sessions, I want to go through some things so people could use them, and then we could get some questions if there's enough time for questions and stuff. You know what I mean? Because you know, so I want it to be concentrated supremacy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Make it useful because Sunez does have to go back to Savior's Island, and I do need to train, and I do need to rest. So you know what I mean? I need all that. So let's make it you know. So I called this plus lesson Understanding Volume 1. Anybody that emails me, I'll send it to you. The transition from work, wisdom to insight, understanding. That was the subtitle. And I said the premise was this series of lectures to reinforce the year's theme that is being focused on understanding. The prior year, the thematic focus was on the ideal of work. In the 2010s, every year I was doing a different theme. So I was doing work, and I'm like, how to get this work done, you know, how to do this and that. I might go back to stuff like that too, because I used to like doing that. And again, it's different than this format here. That's why I can't give everything, because no matter how many people are chatting on here, I can't just be sharing things. You know what I mean? So that's why it changed once I started to do this regularly during the COVID years, you know. But to continue, in engaging in particular work willfully, one will develop an awareness of self. Right? So that was my premise, so that the more work you put in, the more awareness of self you put in. And this is not my premise, though. This is actually not something they say, but me articulating really a Kung Fu principle. You know, like the more you work, the more you learn of yourself. The more movement I do, the more I learn of myself. You know what I mean? And one will see the conflict of the desire for righteousness and the actual reality of one's virtue in real times, right? So what you want to become, but then also what you actually are showing, you know, your daily virtue, right? It begins with the bat. That's another plus lesson to build awareness square with like those things to look at. Studying how one eats, trains, reads, writes, shares, learning on oneself, may take note of what they are studying. That's a justice curriculum I put. That's another plus lesson I have. They're all interconnected. That's the one where I'm telling you different subjects to study. And then now ready to begin working on developing, understanding the work year ended with the justice build. That's how to build on the different things to checklist off when you build on the lesson. So even as I make these worksheets for particular sets, like 1 to 10, I'm gonna start with the 1 to 10. Not the one with 14. I'm gonna start the 110. I didn't do the 110. I ain't do that one yet. But the checklist of the justice build is like what to look for. Spotlight the vocabulary or what Elijah might have meant, and other things that are in there. We'll go through that another day. Now ready to begin working on developing understanding. The work here ended with the just built a set of major concepts to help approach and see one's understanding in supreme math, alphabet 120, and even everything else they encounter worthy of study. Then I quoted Yamamoto Tsunetomo from the Hagakure. I said, it is bad. He said, it is bad when one thing becomes two. One should not look for anything else in the way of the samurai. It is the same for anything that is called a way. If one understands things in this manner, he should be able to hear about all ways and be more and more in accord with his own. No matter what, the samurai goes in there with the one. That means his understanding of what a samurai is and the duty of the samurai and how they must react upon situations. So no matter what understanding he gets from a situation, those rules always apply, right? Whether it's peace or it's violent as a reaction, right? Or as, or the situation that arises. So I quoted that because, like, no matter what, we know that we're the true and living gods and earths. So we're looking at things from a particular perspective, and we have to notice that it is different. Like, blatantly notice it's different and accept that we will be seeing things differently. Because that, it gets people mad all the time. Like, yo, I'm looking at things different. Like, look at the people who analyze things and they overanalyze things. They look too far at things. And the critical thinking skills, they're trying to get there, but it's not really there. So this is what I'm saying. Like, we have to understand that. Like, we're going to look at things differently. It also helps you explain it to other people so they can see it. So I had the first thing that we deal with, though, with this knowledge, as far as understanding, and it's the premise of logic. There must be a scientific reasoning that one develops that identifies and eradicates, gets rid of the use of preconceived beliefs and unproven ideas. See, in that case, the flat earth would be thrown out. It doesn't have enough, though, to be other than an unproven idea. So it doesn't deserve the headspace that people give it. It's not on that level of research yet. That's like, nah, it's not there. Like, it's the same to me. Let's go on the extreme. It's the same as me. Like, yo, I think that when you learn about the yogis, the Indian yogis with the breath work and all that, you start learning that some of them say that they was learning so deep with it that they was able to levitate and stuff. That's unproven ideas. So that's not scholarly research with logic that you're going to put so much emphasis on. So that 10th degree, like, we spend no more time searching for that which does not exist. It's not the fact that a scientist is never not going to keep questioning. So he's always going to have, like, maybe this could be, I don't, you know what I mean? Right. But it's how you prioritize. Our people don't prioritize correctly, God. Because, like you were saying, like, yo, in the end, like, it don't matter, right? It don't matter, right? The flat earth is not that important. That's really not the reason why we're oppressed here. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this was a round or a flat, like, it's really not. And I think people too, they don't learn, like, the history of science because they think it's all white people stuff. In a lot of ways it is. We're taking a lot of things that they did, but what people don't understand is a lot of science was discovered by us and they're piggybacking off of it. And a lot of science in America, per se, and even now in the world today, is coming from India and other places. Yeah. And it's looking like it's a white thing always, but it's really not. They go, it's a German institute. That's where it's come from. But, yo, it's crazy Japanese people in there, right? It's not white people all doing the knowledge to this. It's white people writing the lead being the lead on the papers, getting the Nobel Prizes and shit. That ain't nothing new how that stuff works. You know what I mean? It wasn't even until years before where women could even be in the science lab. We talk about white women, they couldn't even be in the lab. There's lots of stories of, like, real smart white women that were doing stuff and they couldn't get any further. So we gotta look at things like that. So, like, the logic will give you. So I had two things here, right? I said Logic is science that deals with the principles and criteria of validity, of inference, and demonstration. You know what I mean? So you're thinking something could be inference, and then you have to demonstrate it. You have to demonstrate how it would work. And so that's the logic mind. If it doesn't have a good logic, then it doesn't get prioritized, right? So I said, I had this first bullet point saying criteria equation, the making of a list that must be proven to prove the said idea, right? So I've always been on a criteria list. When students used to come in, I said, listen, I did this to you too. You don't bear witness that the black man is God. Make a list of all of the things that has to be for man to be God. You know, because some people might, if I have a younger kid, you like, he needs a fly. And then I'm telling like, we're not rewriting fantastical things that are shown and proven already. Right. And because if even to whoever we argue to, if God is a real being, why would he have fantastical attributes? They don't help him do any of the work. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So you have to make a criteria, right? So they would include, for example, listing any and all requisites, necessary things the creator must prove to be in order to be called the creator. They include such as supreme biochemistry composition, right? Check, right? You got the melanin, the carbon base, right? Throughout the whole universe. Manipulative ability and or housing all the elements of the universe. So does he have command of all the elements of the universe? And is he composed of all the elements of the universe? That would be a check on the original, right? Master of universal language that details all creation, mathematics. The language of the entire universe is his tool, right? So these are examples, right? And then proper variables was another bullet point, the second one. And I said, as scientists, Gandhi's insight that life is constant experiments with truth, then we must learn to set our variables correctly in order to draw proper insight. Variables are a set of attributes that are set and proven as you study changing realities. If those variables are not correct, like one's variable is the mystery God causes weather, then one cannot track any new observation with any insight, like the science of breath and the body's absorption and release of moisture as significantly impacting weather when directed. In other words, if you got the wrong variables in there, like the mystery God, you're already going to come out with wrong, experiments, right? So your variables, what you think is crucial, right? Then there's let me see if I haven't even looked. All right, peace to the God King. Come on, peace and Mega. All right, I was gonna ask what's up with the where's all the concert clips, man? I don't know what happened. I was waiting for that to come up, but LT peace, Lord Takim, peace to God. All right, well, these are all you can tune in later. Nyoki, I've never seen your name here before. Peace. If you have a question, let me know. Self-I build. Peace, God. Malik, peace to the God. Let me continue with this plus lesson. If you just came in and stuff, I told you I would start off with some things and then we go. So I'm sharing the plus that I understand, which I've haven't shared this in years, and I don't think I shared it during the years since I started doing this. Then there's the approach, right? The approach with understanding is the work we do to truly see ourselves builds the way itself. Let me say that again. The work we do to truly see ourselves, right, to learn of ourselves, builds the way itself. That's going to be the way. Oh, that's peace, God. Oh, I'm glad it's coming. It builds the way that we encounter any and all things. Firstly, intention, right? I'm big on intention because when I look at love, hella, right, for example, I see love as intention, the framework. So we go into things with a framework. The immediate nature, I see intention as the immediate nature that one surfaces upon all encountered ideas and observations. What's your intention the minute that you do the knowledge to things, right? A few major ideals of intention are listed below, but they all are united in one intention that are understand and developed with the intention of building the best part, the babies. That's our number one thing. So we are people that we know that there's no mystery God, but because we say our major intention is toward the babies, we actually are always in the midst of technically writing our history in advance because we're always thinking about the future effects of something. That's why a lot of times gods, though, we could get into our own ego because we're thinking of things that haven't happened yet. You know? So I'm saying there's pitfalls in that, right? Humility. These are just things that you list in the framework. Humility, the ability to gauge one's level or state of being properly. This allows one a yin space, that is the opportunity to be the perfect student. Perfect students willing to be wrong at each and every presentation of new and proven knowledge. In other words, like I always tell people when they first build with them, to be a great student is to be one that's willing to be wrong about anything at any moment. You know, that's the ultimate humility. You know, sincerity. It is said that to be to have an honesty of mind and a freedom from hypocrisy, right? That's what people say sincerity is. An honesty of mind and a freedom from hypocrisy. This is what is missing from the majority of those that know and those that cannot learn. To be sincere is to let go of like and dislike, and means that it doesn't mean that you don't like things or dislike things. It means that that is not going to be the way that you make decisions. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you might like, listen, I like this though. This is what I'm gonna eat. No, I have to eat healthy, but I'm gonna get some healthy that I do like. You're not gonna get something that is healthy, but you just despise it. You know, like it's not gonna work. But you work hard to match the like without being victim to the like, right? So we get something that's tasty, but it's healthy, right? And so to be sincere is to let go of like and dislike in that way and willingly search what is true and right through the strictest study of self in all things. As one shares, then one will then only share what one truly thinks will aid others. This is a big deal to me. We're 5%ers though. But the way I teach though is that that what we share may not be shared to anyone or anyone ever. It may be lost. I only share. This has been my whole life, God. I only share things. Peace, God. I only share things if I really see that people could understand it and use it. Peace, God. Sunez Allah. Peace, God. Peace, God.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't share things like that. So what one truly thinks will aid others, and not for their own aggrandizement, the increasing of one's pride and vanity, right? Virtue, the accumulation of righteous deeds. These cannot be counted, right? I want you to be aware that you're doing righteousness, but not be counting it though. It's a weird thing. I did certain things like I don't count students. I've never counted. You know what I'm saying? I thought like, yo, being at the school, they're gonna be here. If I count students, I'm just gonna have ego at the end. Be like, hey, you know, and it's not a McDonald's counter. It doesn't matter how many I serve. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, right. So I said, when one applies the build awareness square exercise, that's another plus lesson of what you're looking at, and studies their sharing. They are not to count their worth. They are to judge the development of their sharings. How quality is what I am sharing? When am I sharing? Am I sharing when people could use it? Am I having some trepidation? You know, like sometimes you're like, I don't know if I should tell that person this. That happens all the time. Like that's not a thing. Like, yo, Sunez knows how to teach though, so he always knows when to. I'll be outside. I'll be like, nah. I take my moments because I'm like, yo, that's 85. Like, you know, is he gonna be able to use that? Like, so you know, I never know. You know. But I put myself in environments though. So like now, when I'm at work though, man, I take the kid under the wing. You know, I pull him aside. All these things, I could do that. I have the power to do that. So it's how you share, where you share, right? Let's see. Again, this plus lesson is really only 3 pages though, but it's very dense. It's actually 2 1/4, but it's very dense. Principles. the proper lens of righteousness. In other words, we keep saying that we get fresh understanding by doing the knowledge purely. No, you have lenses of principles that you have that affect the way that you look at things. You know what I mean? We have to admit these things. The proper lens of righteousness, a sense of nature, and subsequent way that promotes life is based on developing one's principles. The ancients, before they received the facts of knowledge of self and discovered them, studied themselves closely and the ideals of sincerity, virtue, honor, countless ideals, morals, and ethical principles. We must study those ideas, develop them as crucial to our nature, and develop insight that promotes their natural living in the hellish society. The mastery of applying principles to the devilish society is the highest form of political education. Okay? Because that's what the whole point of political education in this course, political education and civilization, is. How do we apply our own principles to a hellish world? Right? Okay, and then I refer to another plus lesson here, which I'm going to completely not read that because that'll be another build. Okay, it's about the 3 perfect principles. That's another plus lesson I have too. You know, I rapped about it, but that doesn't mean that you know it though. You know, that don't mean that you know. You know, form the question in your approach when you're dealing with your understanding and your biases. Know that you will have more bias if you don't. If you form the question, not the answer. You control your bias more if you form the question, not the answer. The great scientist scholar does not fit answers to problems, but builds new questions, answering old ones along the way. To do otherwise makes supreme math a mere numerology. Note that this absolutely does not include a question with an answer you're aware of. That is just reinforcement. Okay? Let me look at these comments real quick. Oh, that's peace. Oh, that's peace, God. Magnificent. That's peace, God. That's right. Sorry. Peace. Kasim, peace. King Kamal, you said if one could provide a list of why and how man is God, it shouldn't be hard to tie it back to the black man being God. That's right. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. When I have people do the list, it's to get rid of their beliefs, you know, to note that like, yo, this is a real thing. Like it actually would take real criteria. You know,
it's like the same thing in the email where it was like most people have this idea that God is huge in space, this universe is huge, but it's like army smaller than the house that we live in. So
right.
The idea that God,
and no, that the size of man does not show, prove, or disprove that the black man is God.
Right.
Because the home you're in is always bigger than you.
Right.
You know.
Right.
You know, something else me taught me, yeah. But resource oriented. Then there's another point. Resource oriented building versus understanding based building. Let me explain. To merely gain success, one need only study all things, looking for the most advantageous resources available. Once identified, acquire them, utilize them, discard them, or hand them off. This is a pathway to success. This, the mere traits of amplified survival, resource-oriented building, are not the ideals that are shared here. Resource-oriented building is not what I'm talking about. That's how people go about. They're looking at things for the resources that they can use. It's a very capitalistic mindset. You know what I mean? They're looking for assets. We must look beyond survival's confines if we are to gain anything beyond it that can truly be titled a thriving, fulfilling, righteous life. We must make our building decisions based on principled understanding, not a clever reworking of unalike conquering. To see the deeper understanding is to deal with mastery, the 5% deals with, over conquering, what the 10% deals with, and let go of submission, what the 85 deals with. Okay. Peace program. I'm not heading out nowhere in a long time. I mean, you want me to go to Puerto Rico? I'm not heading out to Puerto Rico anytime soon. You know, seriously, yeah. Unless people pay for the tour, the Sunez tour, you know, then I have to actually memorize my songs. I do not memorize any of my songs. Yeah, I memorize lessons, but I am terrible with memorizing my own lyrics. Yeah, terrible. The one time I performed it, that one time, yo, I had to practice that so much because I had done a show with Power Rule, Prince Power Rule, and I was just introing.
Yeah.
But I had some bars. And I just totally went blank. And I just looked at him, and I was like, I just went into my shtick.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I was supposed to do, what we rehearsed. Right. And he just, he's an MC since the late 80s, so he just took over. Right. But I was like, damn, man. I said, yo, when I'm out there again, I got to make up for this. Right. And I was telling my daughters, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to mess this up, for real. My word is bond. I'm not going to let you down. And, I did it, But it's not, I just don't have a desire, so it doesn't. Right. But the exercise here, and this is the end of it, the exercise is to develop concepts. A concept is generalized idea formed of particular instances. The uniting of ideas, new with old, that creates a building world in mind, literally, is by the identification of concepts. The identify of concepts must begin with the grouping of seen principles, ethics, and morals. Once those are made into concepts, one could begin to see the concepts that the works of history and daily life present to us. Example, because I need some concepts in the 1 to 10. Leadership, first degree. Black man is God of the universe, thus leader of all. Right? It doesn't say he's a leader of all, but he's a leader. Right? Concepts. Balance, the 10th degree in the 1 to 10. The stated religion suggesting the mysterious past of the inner world, Buddhism, and the outer world, Christianity. Balance. There's balance in that degree of what it's proposing. Those aren't the only other religions, but to me, that's how I understood it. So I give that example, right? Buddhism's a religion of the inner. You get lost inside. Meditation. Because remember, so there was a thing Osho wrote in The Rebel, right? And he was like, this is the end of The Rebel. It's a 500-page book. In the end, he's like, there's no God. You don't have a God. There's no God that's all in your mind. There's no God in the sky. There's no God anywhere. It's you. And he was like, the reason religions see it is because they do fasting, but not fasting like the way we do it. They do fasting like forever. He goes, like forever. They do fasting for like 100 days. Then they live alone in the mountaintop. So now all their personal communication is now to no one, only to themselves. So they're talking to nobody, sounding crazy. He basically says that in a lot of ascetic religious rituals, they're making themselves crazy. So now, they really do see a Jesus. And if you look at things like he talks about like the isolations of religions, you know what I mean? You stay away. Like he was mentioning a religion that this Christian religion where they had to stay inside and they could never leave. And he says that when you become a monk or a nun, like don't have sex, that repressed sexual energy will you can't even think about it.
And what's this, The Rebel?
The Rebel. There's a book. Yeah, Osho had Daesun told me about that book. I have a huge collection of Osho books.
I got like
OSHO, yeah.
Oh, this.
But I can email it to you. And that book is the one Daesun told me to start with, but I ended up collecting like 280 of them. So I got all his books, and I read other ones too that are really good. But in that book, The Rebel, it's like 500 pages. It's really dope. So I just finished it recently. Yeah. So actually, Osho became the 52nd book. So another year of 52 books. So that. Hell yeah. Osho was building though. And he liked to ball, so he was like 5%.
Peace to God.
Peace.
Peace, God. How you doing, God?
Peace, God. Sunez Allah.
Peace.
All right, more examples here. Illusion, the 3rd and 4th degrees in the 1 to 10. The population figures reveal that North American wilderness, overpopulated by colored people, is just the opposite the entire world over. The North American reality is an illusion of numbers. See, concepts, illusion. Another concept, contrast. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 9th, 10th. The contrast is God, devil, original colored populations, Islam, and other religions. So there's a lot of contrast in the 1 to 10. Right. The detail of the true is given context by contrasting it with the false and corrupt. So when you're going through the concepts that you think of, the reason I say develop your concepts because the bias that we have, we walk into things with understanding and we are adding on knowledge. You know what I mean? So take any set of lessons or reading and make a list of their concepts and building them in your journals. Bring your best ideas, the one you desire, to test the classroom. This is what I used to say, right? So you could bring it next time and tell me about the concepts that you see and how you see it. But when we go through 120, when we go through life, when we're using supreme math, you have to articulate and put into word the concepts that you have. The way I see it, every single concept that is right and exact for you can be shown and proven with supreme math. And you can have the actual numbers to go with the concept. Okay? If you work hard at it. You know what I'm saying? Like illusion is easy. That's 6, right? Getting caught up in 6, right? The contrast, right? That's the balancing of the numbers. You could go 1, 0 on that. You know what I'm saying? It's all there. It's all there if you choose numbers that go with that, right? So let's see what else I have here. Okay. And that's pretty much it though. There's other plus lessons referred here though. So I just leave that. Yeah. So if anybody wants this plus lesson, I will send it out to you so you can build further. Any questions you have on it? This is rewindable. So you rewind it and get all it. I said I would teach one thing. My time is here until 8 o'clock while I am in the school year because I have to wake up early. But let me read through these comments though. King, you said no one can successfully duplicate or create the original, but all different shades of original come out of the black man, for they are all shades of original. Right. You know, I've heard people say that. There's some that in Farrakhan's speech used to say that the original is the black and then everything comes from it though. And then people don't understand how the black and the yellow is original just as much as the black. What is original is what is always inside the DNA structure, not always what was physical first. If it was going to be, then it always will. Because if you said black is more original than brown and yellow, which some people have erroneously said, if black is more original than brown and yellow, then now you put a timestamp on original. See? Because if the black comes first, and then the brown, and then the yellow, it's a matter, the only difference in them is a matter of time, but not a constriction of time. They would always be, you see? They were always in the DNA structure as original. The black and brown germ has all of that. So it always will be. So there is no time. It's only the time that you see the different seed physically. But the seed was always in there. That's the difference between the black, brown, yellow, and then the grafted. The grafted was not there. It was not embedded. It had to be grafted and altered for it to come about.
So do you, I mean, I've been doing a little research. Do you think the darkness give value to the light?
Again, that's what you're noting is contrast. What I was just talking about.
This darkness give value to light because without the darkness, light can't exist. Because because the light is within the darkness. In other words, I'm saying it's like when we go through trials and tribulations, and we say that like we in that state of darkness or whatever, and if you go within yourself, you extract the light or you extract the lessons.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
That you going through.
Now look, the degree in the alphabet that I think of is love, hell, or right. Right? Now I don't see hell as something that's imposed from outside force.
No.
When we deal with love, hell, or right, the way I see it is the love is our intention. Yeah. What we intend to build, what we intend to do. We take it to everything. That's why this whole plus is about that. You take your understanding into every situation, right? You God. Every situation you go into, it's not just fresh knowledge on a raw mind. Yes. You're looking at it with understanding. For example, complete this for me, God. The babies are the greatest. Another one. The babies are the.
I just know that the babies are the greatest.
The babies are the best part, right?
But how can the babies be? I mean, because that's supposed to be the understanding.
No, let me explain. Okay. Let me explain because I like where you're going. I like where you're going with that, right? So what I'm saying is this, right? Let me finish what I'm saying. Then go.
I'm sorry about that.
When we go into situations, we always have a bias, though. That doesn't mean that we are altering and not dealing with knowledge correctly.
Yes.
We always have a bias that the children are the best part.
Yes.
So we have a bias to say, well, how could this help the children in the future? Our minds are always creating in the future time. That's why it's always important to always focus on knowledge first, because we could get lost in what will be.
Mhm.
We're always writing the future,
Yes.
right? The reason the babies are the best part, not necessarily like knowledge, right,
Mhm.
is because the quality of all things is in the creativity of all things.
Yes.
Remember, this knowledge is not just a fact. See, we keep saying that knowledge is a fact,
Mhm.
but if we look deeper into knowledge being a fact, we're looking that knowledge is actually a point, a specific moment, a specific thing of creation,
Yes.
right? So somebody says, yo, what is this? What is this, guy?
About
But at its deepest level, at its most knowledge level, it was a creation
it came from the
when
thought.
someone thought of making something to hold the water.
Right. I'm glad you.
You see what I'm saying?
See what you just said? Now, when you deal with science, what came first, the knowledge or thought?
The thought is literally the knowledge itself. You're talking about the receptacle of it.
I think it had to have. I think in my opinion, knowledge came first because you have, in order for you to think that thought, you got to have some type of knowledge of that thought.
Now think of it this way, right?
Consciousness. Yeah.
We create ourselves. We were always here,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So even before we knew what was knowledge,
Mhm.
we created ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So what was knowledge wasn't identified as knowledge. It was identified as that first thought.
Okay.
So they're synonymous in one and the same.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But when we say that the babies are the best part, right, is because the babies prove both spectrums.
Mm-hmm.
In supreme math, though, all of it happens at one shot.
Yes.
When we go, this is understanding, this is culture, we're pinpointing moments
Yes.
that don't work that way. Everything works in one flow.
Yes.
So there really is this knowledge and the what? Infinity of knowledge, that it will always continue. So the one and the zero. You see? So with that being, if there's only one and zero, then that means what?
It's knowledge each.
That it's
whole
all
thing
in
is
there.
knowledge.
It's
It's all in
always
there.
it's always
Because
endless.
you need the knowledge to justify the cipher, right? Because without the knowledge, the cipher cannot be justified.
Absolutely, because
It makes the cipher known.
the reality of everything is in the infinity of everything.
Okay.
Right? That's the cipher.
All right.
You know what I mean? Right? Let me just get these comments here in the thing here.
So your class is every.
I teach here I'm here 6:30 to 8
All right, so
every Thursday.
all right.
Yeah. So I'm wrapping up now. Fasting first, crazy work. Yeah. Everyone get found as a skeleton. But listen, in extreme religions, though, fasting is extreme. They're not doing it for the body to recuperate. They're doing it to reach a level of almost visualization. And that's where Asho was saying that, yo, they're just making themselves crazy. So they're gonna have what? Like it's like ghost and red, ghost face, I had crazy visions, you know what I mean? Like you just, and that's where a lot of the religion comes from, because they're really seeing Jesus. They're seeing what, and now you have subliminal messaging. You're in there, they're telling you, you're gonna see Jesus Christ, you're gonna see Jesus Christ, fast for this man, do this, don't eat that. As many restrictions to the body, as many restrictions that they can have, you know what I mean? And people end up seeing it, but they can't show and prove it, right?
Yeah, them having all.
Yeah, I will email you that, King. Just later on, just text me or something during like the weekend and stuff. All right? But just email me Sunez97@gmail. I'll put it in the chat right now.
I was talking in the Bible about because they were Christians.
But it's a plus lesson that makes sense, but has more depth when you hold it and you could look at it, what I was doing there, and you can add on to it as well, because the whole point is to add on and fill it up. But that's the teaching, that's the plus lesson, and that the lesson that I'm giving today. We're at 8 o'clock, so I'm gonna let everybody go. Again, I'm contactable, so I'm here from if you get to the school, I have a guard here, so I built a little bit longer with him, and that's why. Peace, God.
Peace, God. Thank you.
You're welcome, God. So I build a little longer with the God. That's why I got in a little bit later, but I always try to give it like an hour and stuff. And you see these pluses, they always go that long. But we're going to review everything so the point is for you to start next year off with a bang, though. If you haven't made your goals if you didn't even make your goals here, you start out like, yo, let's say you want to read 52 books, right? Get out a whole bunch of books though, right? Just to help yourself. Get a whole bunch of books, 300 pages worth, 400 pages. Read 200 of the 300 in this book. Read 400 in the 500 of this book. Read 80 in the 280 of this book. Now, when you start the year, you didn't finish no books yet last year. But now you start the year off with a good bang. That always works. You know what I mean? I read really long books, and every week I read at least 300 pages, though. At least. So I'm reading crazy. Yo, I really take that Curry shit. If I'm gonna write, I'm gonna take 1,000 shots in the gym, you know? So the thing is set up your goals though. You know what I'm saying? If you want to work out regularly, start getting that thing done now. Do that 5 by 5 I told you. So as we go along with these last weeks of the year, I'm going to be really putting it into everybody's mind the possibilities of what they could do. You know, we're human, but there's so much stuff that we could do that is so machine-like. The hell with this AI. We're the real machine right here. You know what I mean? Okay. But until next week, all right? Shalom, if you want the pluser, just email me, Sunez97@gmail. I will email it to you. Just remind me, and if you want some books about stuff, let me know. I got a huge library. So email me, remind me of what you wanted, and then I'll get it to you, okay? All right? All right, so I'm going to get off this thing now. But again, I'm here every Thursday, definitely, at least I get here around a little bit before 6:30, and I'm here till 8, okay? Peace.
Peace.